All right. What's up, Warriors? Welcome to this live stream today on this beautiful, I want to say beautiful Friday. It is snowing like and it's looks like Christmas out here in Colorado, bro. But hope you guys are all doing well, man. Better than good, better than great. Hope you've been fighting your fight all week and now are joining us for a very special interview. But before we start that, Edmund, my boy, how you doing, bro?
Man, I'm doing good. Everything that I am able to get a hold of, I'm grateful for, man. How about you? How's your day going so far?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Yeah, man. Like I said, excited to be here. Excited for this one, man. We've been rocking with this dude for a while now, man. We first got introduced by him separately through his content. He is a master at the speaking arts. Definitely into the spiritual, man. He got his start. I know I saw him originally more into the manosphere side of things, man. He's since shifted and just blown up. And man, he was actually our very first interview that we did actually in Arizona. Man, that was a blast.
Flagship, man. That was a great moment to get us started.
I know, right? Especially for a first. And now he's coming back to do this live interview with us. Our brother, founder of the Power Circle and Exit Strategies, which we are both a member of. Our brother, Soul Immortal of Immortal Minds.
Yes, sir.
Hey, bro, what is up, man? What is up?
Man, life is good. I'm gonna tell you this. It is always a high, man, to fellowship with y'all, bro. I've been waiting on this call, man, for a minute. It's always good we can sit and chop and fellowship, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate you tapping in with us, bro. How you been? How's everything going for you?
Man, life is good. Life is good. You know, unfortunately, we're not getting any snow, man. It's 85 and sunny down here in Texas, man. So life is good, brother.
Yeah, just gotta brag, huh? You just gotta brag. Yeah. It's okay. That's all right.
It's been like that around here too, but like now it's starting to get back into like the real winter, not the real winter, but it's starting to get colder. But yeah, there's ways to fleet at. I might need to go to Texas here in the next week.
This is called Colorado Spring.
It shouldn't be too much long though, man. But it won't be long for that summer heat is here and everybody get it.
We can get snow in July, bro. We've gotten snow in July before.
No.
Yep. Yeah, it's a whole thing, man. It's an interesting life. It's an interesting life. But yeah, man. So the conversation we're getting into, man, it was partially inspired by topics that Ed and I have been talking about, but also some of your latest videos, man. We wanted to dig into becoming the 1% man. You know, we've been digging heavy into talking about getting into purpose, how guys find their purpose, how to stay on purpose, how relationships fit into that, man. So I'm definitely excited to hop into this and pick your brain on some of this, bro.
Thanks, bro. I'm ready, brother.
Yeah. So, Edmund, I know you were talking about there was, for those who don't know, Soul also has a book called A Singular Truth. Sorry. And one of the portions he was talking about, I believe, was, remind me what it was, Edmund, again?
Awakening in the Wilderness. There's a piece that when I read the book, this is the kind of the piece that stuck out to me the most, where you start to go into that pasture that you call it, where you're starting to figure out all the things that are like, what are going to be the things that inhibit me from moving into the new realm, crossing over to that bridge, into the new life that I want and that I desire. But before you even get to that pasture, where you know the old things and the new things start to come at you and trying to test you to see if you really want that, you first have to awaken in the wilderness.
Yeah,
you know, it's that taking that assessment of where you are, what are the things that are going on in your life now, and is this actually the life that I've built for myself, and how do I move towards that new life? So what can you, in your words, describe to us what awakening in the wilderness means?
Yeah, man. So when I talk about awakening in the wilderness, man, first, what a lot of people got to understand is when you first come out of that mode of sleep and you come into that awareness that there's more out there, more levels of spirituality to tap in, more levels of God, more levels of love to tap into, more just ways to, explore life. Like that's a high in itself. But people have to understand that before they get to that end goal, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Right.
So, once you get that high, man, and like you mentioned, going through that pasture, and when I talk about that, it's really just facing a lot of our fears, facing a lot of our traumas, facing a lot of our family issues from the past. But when I really speak on awakening in that pasture, it's like as a man or a woman is traveling that path, trying to better themselves, reading more books, just raising their level of consciousness. What you realize is that the things that have been holding you back are the people, places, and things that you've been surrounding yourself, that you've been investing in the whole time.
Right.
Really, the most challenging part of traveling the path of finding a high level of consciousness is when you get to a point where, well, I'll say like this: for a while, you can almost straddle the fence a little bit. Like you can get in your own time and learn more things, be around positive people. But a lot of times we'll straddle the fence, meaning on the weekends we still may entertain vices, people, places, and things. But there comes a point in time where a person has to make a choice, right? And that's when he's in the depth of that wilderness, and that's when a lot of people, to be honest, don't make it. So it's just a conscious choice to separate from people. Maybe your day ones. Maybe the woman you've been in a relationship, maybe your wife or husband. A lot of times it may be your parents, brothers, sisters, aunts, and uncles. Man, that's all I'm always saying. There's a certain point in the path where no one is immune, and you got to understand that very few people are willing to release any and everything to get to that next level, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's now. I think one of my major experiences was when I first kind of woke up in the wilderness. It was I hit my bottom, or I would say one of my bottoms, and that and literally waking up in a place where it's like, oh, this is not what my life is supposed to look like. It's like okay, this is definitely not where I want, but this is where a lot of the decisions I made and a lot of the choices I made, and like you said, a lot of the stuff I let get into my head, and as we say, other people's shit. A lot of times it's not even yours. What you believe or what you think you should be doing, or things that happen to you that other people did that you let affect you, and you carry that with you for 10, 15, 20, for some people, the rest of their life. And actually never realized like this had nothing to do with me. This is something that somebody else did. And until I hit that bottom, when I really realized like, hey, if I keep going like this, it's only going to get much worse. And I probably won't make it out of this. Because if this is where I am right now, is like the next step is either probably me in jail or me dead, period. Like, so I got a choice to make now. It's like, I see what's down that road. It's like, what's down this one though?
You know what, man? What I noticed, and as you were saying it, I'm thinking about, because like you're right, man, we have several bottoms, bro. But I always go to like what I would consider my worst bottom, which was 09, man, when everything was gone, everything was gone or leaving, right? Yeah. And I can remember the whole way down to the quote unquote bottom, I was pointing the finger at everybody. I'm like, on the way down, money going out, I'm pointing the finger like, man, I was there for you. I like, where is it? And I was pissed off. But when I got to the bottom and I'm sitting there, one thing that a man must understand is that you can never start coming back up until you take ownership of everything that took place. Like it's easy to point the finger, even in situations where it's like, I can't even explain how this is my fault. But I understand that if I don't take accountability of it, I can't get up out of here. So one of the beautiful things about the bottom to me is the accountability part. But to me, the most beautiful part of being at the bottom of a situation, man, is, and I'll use the word God, is God, showing me that he stripped everything from me just so I could finally listen. You know what I mean? Because I thought I knew it all. I was like, you know what? This is my religion. This is my belief. This is how you get to heaven or whatever. I'm like, I know how life works. And my pride is what was taking me to the bottom. And God was like, in my opinion, God was like, I understand you wanna be on a higher mental level. I understand you want to do bigger things in life, but you're not listening. So I have to strip you that, like in order to grant you what you're requesting, I have to take everything away from you first. And I'm gonna tell you, man, when I found myself at the whatever the opposite of the peak is, at the bottom, when I found myself at the lowest point, nothing to eat, lights are off, no couch to sit on, tears coming down my face, bro. It was like the light came on. And before that situation even changed, brother, I felt like a hero. I felt like I'd already known I was going to win. Lights are still off. I knew I was going to win.
Yeah.
So man, I appreciate that moment. So saying that now, when life is doing a certain thing, because I welcome bottoms, because when I look back, every time my life made a quantum leap, it took a semi going to a certain state before I went there. So now when it happens, man, even when the house is on fire, bro, I'm still sitting there being grateful, and if things are getting being shaken up, I'm calling it to the good, man, because it always turns back around, man.
Yeah, it's like a pressure that happens. It's like, and it's not even, because I remember when I had mine, and I shared it with the circle like way before we kind of got into Warriors Way Home, but I was like, I was tired of my job, and I was ready to move on to something else, but I didn't know what it was, and I wasn't even looking that hard. I wasn't looking hard at all, honestly. I was just like one of those, like, just complaining about the work that I was doing all the time, and expecting the universe not to hear me, kind of thing. So like, I went for a walk by myself, and then I was like walking out. This is one of those cold days, but like colder than it is now, where I'm walking out on this lake, like frozen lake, and I'm just kind of being grateful for everything and just kind of feeling the cold. And I was listening to something, but at some point I just kind of took my earphones out, and I was like, I get it. I just understand that I'm just in one of these transition periods. I need to just be grateful for where I'm at, because I know that something else is coming, but am I working for it either? You know what I mean? Or in addition to that gratitude and that patience that I'm supposed to have, am I actually doing the things that I know that are going to get me to that next level? And when I came home, I'm like feeling like I had this great aha moment and kind of riding a high, just, because of the whole experience by itself. And then the next day I lost my job. the next day, because I was a part of this, like,
coming.
I was like, nothing can stop me now. And it's like,
that's
really?
Wow. That's how it happens though, man.
Yeah. And then I was laid off for 6 months. And then while that, we're trying to build the very beginning of Warriors Way Home, I was able to take my wife out to Japan on a trip. And like, I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it after we got back. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're taking from our, not the emergency, but like our savings and all this stuff. And it's like, because I just need a change of pace overall. But then when I came back, I was sharper. I knew what I needed. I knew, I want to do more of that, because it's my first time taking her out the country. So it's like, I want to do more of that. And now that my son's here, I want to be able to take him on those same types of trips and all this stuff. And then I end up landing my, my quote unquote dream job, or at least in a better position than I was before. But for those 6 months, man, and there's always going to be moments like this, is what I realize, is that even when things are going to be better, like you're saying, you're going to wake up in the wilderness more than once, because it's not a one-time thing.
Yeah.
There's always going to be some kind of feeling it right now where I'm like, I'm super grateful for where I'm at, but I know I need more. Not need, but I want more because of the trajectory that I see my life going in. And that expansion, just like muscle, it's always going to hurt when you start to tear what was there before.
Yeah. And you know what, man? I think it's amazing. I think it's great that we talk about this, because when I think about, like, let's say brothers that are in their early 20s, like we can speak about these things, and we can speak about maybe 2 or 3 situations where we hit that bottom. Whereas a man that's 21, 25, he may be on his first one. He might, like that first time he hit the bottom,
life is over.
The world is over.
Life is over.
As I know it is done.
Right.
So when we can share these stories, they can say, okay, they can look around and say, okay, it's bad, but I can hear these brothers talking about coming up at that thing, man. Because I wish I would have had a YouTube or something to tap into to hear somebody say this. It was just me on an island, man. The people on my cell phone was all I had, and they were part of the reason why I was at that bottom, dealing with the wrong. So man, it was like torture, man. So man, just hearing us sharing this, man, it's like it got to be music to some people's ears, man.
And like you said, man, it can be a lonely thing, man. It can definitely be a lonely thing. Even think about like when I've hit those bottoms, and you were mentioning people on the phone. Nobody in my life knew what was going on with me at the time.
Yeah.
Is that when I hit my that last one I was talking about, people knew because it was broadcasted. But yeah, man, it's like nobody knew. So I was fighting the fight by myself. Yeah. It's like, and when I was in it, I was like, man, nobody. You feel like nobody in the world doesn't give a shit about you at times. It's like when you find yourself in those moments, like your back's against the wall and you're the only one in the fight, or at least it seems like you're the only one in the fight. Like you said, without having be able to, click on YouTube and have a guy be like, hey, bro, it's like, this is a temporary thing. Like when I first heard somebody say, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary feeling.
Yeah.
And I was like, why didn't I hear that when I was going through that in that moment? Is like, why couldn't I just pick up, like, why didn't that message come through right then to that? It would have been so helpful.
Question, man. So when you find yourself in that situation, or back then when you found it and it wasn't nobody there, like what did you do to cope or to get through? If there was no videos, like how did you cope? Like if there are any steps, because as you were saying that, bro, I could feel that when you were saying that. And in my mind, I was like, man, yeah, what he said. But I was like, I'm thinking to myself, how did I come out of that? I don't know if it was just persevere. I don't know if it was just, what I would say, man, if I had to say a way I got through it, bro, like there were point in times where I'll say this, and I felt this even more recently. Like there's been times where I've done everything I could do. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, I can't meditate anymore. I can't talk to God anymore. I can't grind anymore to get like I'm done. Like I'm out. Like whatever happens now is just what's gonna happen. And man, even then, I'll just sit in my stillness and still be on the side of like I'm still believing. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm still like I can't do nothing else. Bills are coming in red. Like I'm still gonna believe. If I can't do nothing else, I'm gonna go out believing.
Yeah, you just get tired.
And I ain't gonna lie, bro. It always turns out. Not saying I don't take some many L's in there, and I might come out and life look different than I wanted it to, but I survived it. You know what I'm saying? And the things that I lost as time goes on, I look back, I say, you know what? I'm glad I lost it. Because that thing that I was trying to hold on to was an anchor to me, man. Whether it was a person, whether it was a vehicle. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, like there are some things, people and places that I said, you know what? The place I'm going, this person's going to be right here with me. Nah. And after I kind of broke through and started seeing the clear skies, I was like, that person didn't even fit over there. Like I'm sitting there delaying my blessing, trying to bring partners over, trying to bring old relationships over. When they're resistant, it's like, bro. And I get there, or I can see it. It's like, I get it now. I get it now. Even like, and I think I was talking about this the other day, man. And I've gone through maybe like 3 layoffs in my life, maybe even 4. Each one of those layoffs, man, I was like, bro, like, why? Talking to God, why is this going down? Why? And once I got to the next space, I was like, bro, there's no way in the world I could have gotten here if I would have still been at that job. And I wouldn't have released it. Jobs I had 15, 20 years ago, I would have still been there.
Pull your grip off it.
I would have still been there praying for something better, but not walking out that door. I would have still been there. So it's like God has said, nah, man, you've been asking me for this for 5 years. Like at some point, I got to kick you out the door. Kind of like when Edmund had that aha moment. God was like, got it? You got this? Boom. Let me drop the hammer on the whole situation.
Right. Right. Can I stand on it?
Good, man.
Yeah.
It's all to the good, man.
So to answer your question, I think I was a little different. I think for me, and even just thinking about the moment, like just be real, thinking about the moment where I was about to make that permanent decision for a temporary feeling that I was having when I was about to hit delete. I'll talk about after the moment. So after the moment, I think it was just, I got into a fuck you mode, to be real about it. And what really got me was you're gonna let life beat you. Is like you're really gonna go out like this. It's like after everything that's happened, everything you've been through, all the stuff, all the shit, you're gonna let this beat you.
Yeah.
Is like you're gonna, you call yourself a fighter or whatever you think you are, but you're gonna let life beat you. Is like you haven't achieved any of the stuff you say you want, but you're gonna tap out right now. You're gonna tap. You're gonna tap. Because the minute you make this decision, everybody else who said you couldn't do it, everything else that you thought you could do is done.
Yeah.
They win. Life wins. Life beat you. You can't get there and be like, oh yeah, I pushed as hard as I could push. No, life beat you. Life whooped your ass, and you let it. Let it. You gonna let that happen? And man, it was just like, fuck that. No. I was like, if I'm not willing to let anybody else out here beat me like that, I'm gonna let me. And here's the thing. The thing that really got me was when I said life, it was me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like somebody outside that was pulling the strings. It's like you were making the decision because you can't handle it.
Dang.
You're not man enough to keep going. You're not tough enough to keep going. You're really gonna let that be the thing? That's gonna be the last thing people think about you?
That's a real combo there, man.
That's gonna be written. That's gonna be written on your
versus you at that point. You know what I mean?
That's gonna be it for you. It's like he took himself out.
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah,
for real.
Man, that's a hard pill right there, man.
People find out all the stuff. Because that's when all the stories start coming out. Oh, he went through this, and this happened to him, and this happened to him, and then he took himself out. He went through all that shit, and then took himself out.
Yeah, that's a real combo, man.
I was like, that's really how you want to leave, bro.
Yeah.
That's a sucky ass story.
Yeah.
So I've never felt that, but I've felt that from the outside, which is strange because I used to judge people that would feel that way about themselves, like, oh, I can't take it anymore, I got to get out of here, and it was ignorant. It was ignorant because I didn't know what they were going through, and that was me being like my least empathetic when you don't care to understand how people are going through stuff like that. But at the same time, there was a piece of me that was like, yo, that's weak. And I know that's what helped get you out of that. But when you're the person on the outside anyway, that's all you kind of see is that, like, oh, it could have been worse. You know what I mean? There's always worse, but then you don't know what that person is going through. So kind of like how we talk about on the channel now, where it's like you got to have compassion for yourself and your fellow man.
Facts.
You got to be able to put whatever you're perceiving as that thing to the side and be able to help out. Because like you're saying, when you're going through it, you think, oh, my day ones are going to be it. No, because they don't have that compassion. I don't think we really have anything outside of a child that will teach you how to be compassionate for somebody else. And the more I ran into people who was feeling like how y'all felt, the more I was like, okay, it can't just be the bills. It can't just be whatever the home life was. It can't just be, it has to be something deeper. And I had a moment for myself. I had woke up and something was in my head just on loop, and it was negative. I don't want to get into what it was, but I took myself down to like do a workout and was like trying to just, muscle my way through it and all that stuff. And I just couldn't. I couldn't. And I had my own moment where I was like, crying in the garage, and I was just like, what is this thing that I can't fight right now?
Yeah.
And it took me out for the day, bro. It other stuff happened on top of that, and I just sat there. I was like, today was tough.
Yeah.
And then more just kept hitting me after that. And I was like, yo, if they're going through this on a daily, I'm ignorant as hell on that. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. Yeah. I have a good enough defense mechanism, I would say, that keeps me out of that. But them days where it hits me, it's hard, man. And for people who go through that all the time, that's why we have to have compassion for each other. That's why a man needs to be able to have a circle to talk to about the things that he's overcome, the things that people are going through currently, and any little thing that can help that person get out of that just 30 seconds faster. You know what I mean? It makes a world of difference. Like that trajectory that we always say, you're headed one way, but if you can just make a slight adjustment, it'll put you on a whole different path.
Oh, man.
That's why we have to have these type of conversations.
Yeah. You know, one thing, man, that like, especially like the first time you're going through it, you don't know at the time, but everybody at some point is gonna go through it.
Right.
Like you can look at some people, man, and they may seem to be more well off. They may seem to have, you know, better job and household is a certain way, because it's not always it's different for everybody. Sometimes it hits people in the health department.
Right.
Sometimes it hits the financial. Sometimes it hits the relationship. But everybody, nobody's immune to that bottom, man. It's just a lot of people don't really talk about it. But that first time you hit it, you think it's just you. You feel like you've been isolated from the universe. It's like, man, I did this. I paid my tithes or whatever it is you do to give back to the world. And it's like, bro, this ain't it. But not knowing it now, I'm just getting you ready to graduate. Like, this is graduation right here, man. Right. So now, man, even when it happens and I look around, it's like, bro, this sucks. But I know it's part of me going to where I'm going. I know it's part of that now, man. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Like, the bottom is beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's like you can feel like you're at the bottom of a pit screaming into the void. It's just like nobody's. You feel like nobody's coming. It's like
you down there by yourself on fire. It's rough, bro. Man. But it's
I think the way I described it to Edmund was, in those moments, man, it can feel like when you're deep into it. Imagine being at the bottom of the ocean with your feet with waist deep in quicksand, and you're trying to fight your way out of the quicksand, but you can't breathe because you're under the ocean. So you're fighting to get out of the quicksand, but you're fighting to try and hold your breath. Yeah, you're fighting to hold your breath, but then you sink deeper into the quicksand. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, at a certain point, it feels like you're just like, screw it, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
It is. But like I know that feeling, man. But I also say this, man. I realized, you know, and I can look at 3 or 4 bottoms in life. I've also realized that the only way for me to come out, only way was for me to fully embrace and become that new version of where I was going. Like when I said, when I was in that house, man, no lights, and I had an idea. I said, you know, I'm gonna start a trucking company. Before my lights were back on, I was already an owner of my own truck company. Like I'm walking around houses and everything is gone, man. And I had to fully embody where I was going. And the moment I did that, situation hadn't changed, but everything in me was on fire, bro. And it's like the world had to respond to that. It had to respond to that, man. That's why I say becoming is everything. Who are you? Where are you going? It's everything. Yeah. And every single day we wake up, man, whether we're on the bottom or whether we're on the mountaintop, the world is still listening to the same thing. It's like, you might be winning right now, but I'm still listening to who you're telling me you are. Because the moment you let somebody tell you that you're not that, guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna come see you. Something gonna come see you. Yep. I mean, it's just like it's a daily awareness, and it's a challenge staying in it. But once you understand it's a challenge staying in it, it's like now I know that even though I love this brother, man, or these brothers, or this sister I was dating, I love this sister. I know I gotta leave her alone. Like I know what she's doing to my world. I know what going to the juke joint is doing to my world, man. It's like that conscious awareness, man. It's like, and I'll say this, man, and I don't want to get off of any line, but I've been at a mountaintop. I've been at a peak in life, the very opposite of a bottom, where things were happening, man, where it's like, bro, this is too good to be true. Money flowing a certain way. It's like, bro, this bag, like, what am I gonna do with? And man, I've been in that situation and allowed somebody, which it was me. I'm taking accountability of it, but allow somebody to see that light and snatch me out of it in 24 hours. Man. A person I had known I should have blocked out of my life had been blocked out, and I let them see. I answered that phone call. Like, damn, man, sometimes, man, I got people I ain't talked to in years. I saw that phone call come through, and I said, you know what? I don't need to answer this phone call. I already know what that relationship. I answered that phone call, brother, in 24, 48 hours. All my blessings were like running from me. Because what they were saying is, this person you brought into your world, they don't fit where you are. And since you've gotten emotionally involved with this person in 24 hours, as soon as you talk to her, going to see her, it's like, this can't remain here. Man, that was hell, bro. Yeah. When I say hell, I never want to experience that. Never. I don't even want my enemy to experience that.
Man,
it was pure hell, bro. For
would
2
you say
years,
that was?
I had to come back out of that thing, man. But
damn, 2 years.
God Almighty, man.
Jeez. Would you say that was you turning back to your old world, like turning back? And we talk about it. When you do wake up and you make the decision, because it is a decision to walk this path. You have a decision to stay where you are or to walk on this path. When you make that decision to walk on this path, a lot of times it feels like the world is burning down behind you.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that moment was you turning and looking back at your old world? So life was like, oh, you want the old stuff. Cool.
Yeah. I can tell you exactly what it was, man. Like this person that I let do that to me, I was with that person for a long time. And the whole time I was with that person, like my conversation was like, hey, like let's give up this way of living. Like we party every night, we club, we get out, we do this every night. Like let's do something different. Let's go over here. And I tried that for years. And at some point I said, you know what? I'm fully aware I can't go with this person. I love this person, but I can't go there. So I cut this person off. And it's immediately I'm over there. And life is doing what it's doing. So I'm like, okay, I'm here now. Yeah. So I can kind of just reach over there and get her and bring her to where I am. But the laws are the laws, man. Like frequency is frequency. You know what I'm saying? So the moment I put her in my world said, nope. Like it's you know better than this. Even before I did it, the spirit was saying, hey, let me tell you what's about to happen if you do this. I was like this, man. Yeah. I knew better. I knew better. So when the bottom was falling, I wasn't even like, God, how you do this to me? I didn't even say it. I was just like,
you're like, all right. I had that coming.
I bit that bullet. I said, never again.
It's like trying to plug into an Xbox controller into a PlayStation. It ain't gonna work.
It
ain't gonna work.
It ain't happening.
Right.
And ever since then, it took me about 2 years. It took me about 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, man, to get back, quote unquote, on my feet. And I'm gonna tell you this: when I got on my feet, bro, I hadn't talked to that person, and probably it was right at what 23 months. I hadn't talked to him. I'm back on my feet. Guess who calls? That phone went in the same
they could sense it. Like they could sense it.
I ain't talked to that. I blocked that number. I ain't talked to her. I said, man, that energy knows when you plug back into that light, man. And I'm not sitting here calling that person a Jezebel, nothing like that. I'm not. I know she moved different. Good spirited person, moved different, man. About to destroy my kingdom in 24 hours. Destroy my kingdom, bro.
There was something I was listening to by Bobby Hemmett the other day, actually, where he said it a lot crasser than what I'm about to say, but he was basically saying like you gotta leave the worldly stuff behind when it comes to like just the materialism stuff or the type of fights that they try to bring us into through the media or like the news and stuff like that, the division that is constantly going on between either it's Republican or Democrat or woman and man or black and white or whatever that it is. You got to be able to like understand that you're not playing that game no more.
Thanks.
So that same game of, oh, I can just bring somebody over to this new thing and they have no idea like what you got going on. Back, whether it's now or back then, and it's almost like that. Revenge is success is the best revenge because it's like I don't even have to tell you what was going on. I just know what I'm doing is better than what you got going on, based off of what I need to happen in my life, type of thing. So that's the only separation that you really need to have is like between, are they helping me get to where I need to get to, or are they a part of the old problem that got me to understanding that polarity is different. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's not really once you get past the good or bad behind something and just understand is it on path of what you're trying to do or is it not? Stop trying to polarize everything to the point where like there's just so many different options of what you can do and you end up putting yourself in a box that way. But if you can say, hey, is this a part of the grand scheme or not for me? And you only have to focus on yourself and your team, you end up building a better team, I think. You know what I mean?
Man, I love when you talked about that, bro, that division, man, because, and I'll say like this, like and like we both been talking about on both of our channels, we've been talking about that 1%. Like if you want to look at the 1%, in my opinion, if you want to look at the 1% and look at the common denominator on everybody in there, the one prerequisite of being in there is absolutely no division, man. You can't have division, man. Even to your worst enemy, you can put them in a certain bucket. Like, okay, you know what? I understand. I got to keep my distance from that person, but you still got to call them you. Like they're still you. Like if you got a partner that steal money from you, if you got a lady that cheats on you, if you got an employee that fired you in the wrong manner, you know, for 5 minutes you like, oh, like that's how we moving, like that's what we doing. But then you got to go to a place like all is one. Like even the person that can't stand me, even the person that'll cheat on me, even the person that'll steal from me, they're still me. Because for me not to do that, now they've robbed me of my of the throne.
Yeah.
Right.
They robbed me of the throne by making me be mad at them as if they're not me. So it's like, man, I can't think of anybody that's done anything that I can't say, you know what? It's all love. It's all forgiveness. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna tell you this, man, and I'm not saying but I knew this at a young age, man. I wasn't calling it that, but I can remember when like my father was killed by a drunk driver, right? And I was 12 years old, 13 years old. I can remember like several days, maybe a couple of weeks, a month, somewhere in that. I was like, man, I've never seen this guy. I don't know him. But man, he you know, I forgive him. Like I forgive this guy. All the anger was gone from that. Wow. And looking back now, I'm like, bro, where did that come from? So I believe that's something that I always knew. That I always practice it. No, I didn't always practice it. But I believe it was a seed in me, man.
Yeah.
So man, there's nobody now that I can think about, man, that's done me wrong, stole from me, laid me off, cheated, whatever, man. It's like, man, it's all, like they're still me. They're human. Even you know, yeah, I'll just leave it at that, man. But even
that's the hardest part of the game, though, is to understand that at that highest level of like, I gotta have if I'm truly gonna have compassion or love for somebody else, I gotta have that for myself because they are me. And some people don't even want to get that far into it because like, I remember sometimes you'll see it on like social media where it's like the parents of somebody got brutally killed or a spouse or whatever, and then the family is like, you know what, I forgive you, and it ends up changing the person who ended up doing the crime. Yeah, but that's so rare. That's way more rare than the people who are jumping at judges and over banisters and threatening to kill the guy who killed their person. And it's just like, it's crazy. But I wish that was the example that we saw more of. Yeah. But it's so hard, you know what I mean?
I believe it's my bad, bro.
Question for you. I know we're talking about, you know, we talk about the forgiveness piece. I heard somebody say once that the biggest thing with that forgiveness piece and getting into those spaces is realizing that every human being is capable of everything. Yes. That, you know, if you're driving by and you see a homeless guy on the street smoking crack, and you're like, man, it's like that's a damn shame. It's like that could be you. That could easily be you. Yeah. It's like you're like, oh, that could never be me. He said the same. You think that dude woke up in one day and had all his life together, all his bills paid, had a family, had kids, you know, had a good job, nice car, and he was like, you know what I want to do? Smoke crack and ruin my life. Yeah, that's what I want to do today. It's a good day. You think he woke up like, it's like, you want some pancakes? Nah, I want some crack. He woke up. You know, you think he woke up and decided, it's like, you know what? This is a beautiful house. I'm gonna burn this motherfucker down. Yeah, right. It's just like nobody decides that. It's like he thought that same thing. A lot of us, when we find ourselves in those bottoms and in those positions, we thought that this could never happen to me. How many people do you hear interviews with who are homeless who are like, I never thought this could happen to me?
Facts, man.
It's like I never thought that was always somebody else. I thought that was somebody else that was outside of me. I never thought that could be me. And I heard somebody talking about we gotta realize, and this is a hard one for me. You know, personally, is realize that, you know, we're capable of anything. You know, that guy that killed somebody in a drunk driver's accident, like you know, with your father, is that we got to realize that could, you know, I could be that guy. You know, that homeless guy, I could be that guy. That guy strung out on heroin, I could be that guy. That guy that killed a kid, I could be that guy. That guy that raped somebody, I could be that guy. And that is a hard pill to swallow, especially when you start getting into certain areas. That can be a real hard thing to be like, don't you ever say some shit like that to me again. But if we're looking at, you know, really tapping into who we are, at the highest level, like I said, becoming that 1% man is starting to realize some of these things. And like I said, you may not be open to it right at the beginning, it's like, but realizing as you go through life, the people you meet, the more people you engage with, you realize, like, when you start hearing some of these stories, because I actually for a while were talked to homeless people on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, was talking to them, was doing like an outreach type deal. And hearing their stories, man, and realizing, like, this dude had his shit together. Like, he was an executive here and doing this, had a family, big house, golfed on the weekends, everything. And now everything he owns is in that bag sitting right next to him. He doesn't even have a coat, and it's middle of winter.
And so many people are so close to that, man.
Mm-hmm.
For real.
Like, it ain't like I remember before I left East Texas, man. I was living in Tyler, and I used to volunteer at this shelter. And the last time I was at that shelter, it was Thanksgiving, and I would go maybe once a month. It was Thanksgiving, and on this last Thanksgiving I was there, man. There was not so many. It was a handful of guys there that were nice slacks, button-up shirts, and they're living there. And it's like, man, just a week or two, a month ago, like, you were probably in an office somewhere. Yeah. Like, and you went through the divorce or the job let you off, and now you're here, man. When you look at statistically, when you look at most Americans are financially, most people are closer than they think, man.
One check away.
They don't have
one check and 30 days from that landlord knocking on the door away from that. So we have to have compassion about it, man. It's like, bro, like you can be there, like, one small, even if you, I'll be honest, even if you got a bag and a cushion, you can still be there in 5 minutes. You don't know what medical bill or what lawsuit can change everything.
A war.
Yeah.
Man,
it's crazy. It's crazy, man. So you got, man, I think for a person to get prideful and think that they're immune to that is crazy.
Yeah. So it's both levels, man. Both levels. So when a guy finds himself in that world where it feels like he made the decision and is moving forward, and he feels like his whole world is burning down, in that moment, what would you? Because, like I said, it can be shocking when you decide, like, hey, I'm gonna get my life together, I'm gonna start doing this. Maybe you start to figure out or find your purpose. Like, I figured out what I'm gonna do. I want to be an engineer, or I want to, go be a doctor, or own my own construction company, whatever it may be. I want to go do this thing. And then you make that decision, and it feels like right after you make that decision, chaos explodes all around you, and your old world just starts, like you said, old fleas start calling, I think you say is a, hey, big head, you start getting those text messages, you might get, some, you get pulled over on your way to work and get a big ass ticket, or you get in an accident, or, something happens, and you find yourself in those moments like, look, I made the decision to actually better my life, start going towards my thing, and now all this shit is happening. What advice would you give that guy going through that in that moment right there?
To really simply understand what's taking place, man, because kind of like what EDMUND was talking about earlier, like he's going through this, he's going through this, his mental research, when he had that aha moment, it was like, now that I understand, or now that I've identified who I need to be and where I'm going, now I can go there. It's like instantly a person's soul or whatever is no longer giving energy to a different world. So understanding that world has to do something. It's like having two pets and you choosing not to feed one. Like the next day they're gonna look different. 3 days later they're gonna look completely different. So the moment you decide to stop feeding one of those worlds, it's like, bro, it can't maintain. It can't maintain, and we only have so much bandwidth. So, man, like, that world has to crumble. So, to answer the question in the shortest form, is simply understanding what's taking place. Because when I look at that bottom I was talking about, 2009, and I compare it to when I have challenges now, it's all me saying, okay, you know what? The old me would be very pissed off right now, very questioning God. Why is this? But now, man, I'll sit here, man, and be like, okay, I understand there's chaos over there. I can't do nothing else about this. It's gonna do what it's gonna do. And even in that, I'll sit there and say, you know what? In 5 more minutes, it's gonna be done. As long as I stay right here, as long as I don't get as I stay right here, I know what the end is gonna be like. And I'm not saying I'll master this, bro, but after going through this over the last 25 years, I've seen the pattern enough now to say, you know what, I haven't mastered it yet, but if I can't, before I go the other direction, I know how to sit still in this energy. Like let me sit in frame. If I can't do nothing else, I'm gonna sit in frame. And when I get a little mojo back, then I'm back walking in that I am. But I'll never leave that I am because now I understand what's taking place, man. So
there's a term I was just looking for it and I couldn't find it, but when I saw it, I was like, damn it, this is the thing I've been looking for. It's it's like a fasting process, but it's you hit the nail on the head. You're basically starving that old world and putting all your energy
cannibalize.
No. It was I'll remember it as soon as we're done. But you're basically burning away all of that old stuff that you had. So there's a chemical called vitriol, scientifically, where if you pour it on something, it eats through everything except gold.
Oh, dang.
So it's like it's an acidic compound, and there's a technical name for it. But I love the word vitriol because in certain contexts, it's also a acronym. But basically, what that vitriol does, it's like this green liquid that if you pour it on anything that's not gold, it'll chew all the way through it until it gets to the base compound, right? And I love that because it's like you are only leaving behind the most pure version of that thing when it comes to like metal work. You know what I'm saying? Because you did not construction, but you worked on like oil tankers and stuff, right? So I know you kind of understand a little bit about that. And I love that because it's like mentally you have to find a way to dig those hooks out of your brain from that old vices and routines and distractions. And I just got done with a fast last month, and the from the second day, that's all I thought about was all the things I was trying to stay away from, the sugar, the food, the whatever. And then it got to a point where I was like, you know what, I can't do this part of it anymore, but I'm going to carry on these more positive aspects of it. I tried to eat something like more than what my portions have been for like the past 20 days. I got sick. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Oh, I had like a full Chinese meal, and I was like, I can't. Why did I do this to myself? Any other day, any other day, I'd have been fine eating all that. But then I had changed my life for like so much, even in a short amount of time. 20 days is not that long, but just the fact that I was on a new routine, my body didn't even want that stuff no more. And in your mind, you think it's like, oh, I have to have, I got to satisfy these cravings. I got to have ice cream and liquor, and I got to have a smoke and all this other stuff. And it's like, bro, if you just sit it down for 30 days, maybe 31 days, whatever it takes, 30, 60, 90, a lot of people like to go through, your body, the mind is the only thing that thinks about that no more. Your body's like, okay, this is life now. I'm not eating as much. I'm eating better salads and fruits and veggies and high protein. And it's like, all right, cool. It's not as tasty as the sugar. I'd rather have a honey bun. But in the back of your subconsciously, you're like, okay, but my new life says I have to do this thing. And even if you get off of it for a day or two, all you're going to think about is, man, I felt better when I was doing the positive thing. If I was waking up at 5:30 and doing my workouts and having a little bit of meditation time, and I could just see how the routine in itself was like, yeah, this sucks. But if I've been doing it for this long, I might as well continue to do it because I feel like shit when I'm not. So it's like, it's truly, are you going to be on path? Are you going to do the things that are going to help you get to that destination? Or are you just going to bullshit and indulge in every little impulse that you have instead of the ultimate impulse that you have is to be successful, is to feel like you're worthy of love and protection and live life and thrive. But you're so caught in the distractions of survival, it makes it hard to think past next week, especially like you said, when you don't have the resources to lean off of. And I'm not lost as far as like understanding that my situation was drastically different. I got laid off and then left the country. Who else can do that? Travis told me that. He was like, yeah, you got a chance to try. Who else was doing that? So I was like, all right, fair enough. And I'm sitting here.
Yeah, I think you were complaining with it. You're like, oh, but this. I was like, I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah,
I'm at work and you're traveling. You're in Japan.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Japan, like, you know what I'm saying?
I was like, shut up.
Right. But
I gotta go back to work right now.
Yeah.
I wish I was in Japan.
He on the other side of the world.
Exactly. But it's realizing that those small steps of let me just do what I have to do day to day. Let me just do the things that I know are going to incrementally get me to the next step, which is going to be harder, but I'm building up that muscle all along the way. Because if I just sit here and watch Real Housewives of Atlanta and eat ice cream, none of that gets done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's really,
And you know what?
You do
And
know
as you
your
were saying it,
housewife.
man, that's why I love y'all's program, man. Because one thing, like the element that y'all stand on, one of the many elements y'all stand on that applies to what you were saying is that discipline. Like if a person can master himself in that discipline, there is nothing that person can't do. Because if you can write your own recipe to get somewhere and say, this is exactly what I got to do, man, it's like nothing can stop you.
Right.
You know, so that's a powerful thing, man. Like
nothing but you can stop you.
Is everything, man. Because it's those small little daily tasks that you don't do. The smallest of things that add up over a week, a month, a year. When you can turn around, you can say, you know what? If I'd have done this one or two things every day, I would have been on a whole different island.
Right.
I was listening to one of those. It was like it wasn't Susie Orman, but it was like one of those Susie Orman type ladies, and it was on a short either this morning or yesterday. She was like, I don't understand how everybody isn't a millionaire. She said, if you go in the chat GPT and type in a prompt, I'm in this field, this is what I do. Tell me how to be a millionaire in 365 days. She said chat GPT will give you 365 days exactly what you need to do to get there. And she was like, I've looked at it. She said, I don't know why everybody doesn't type this in and do that thing. So you know, when people that have that discipline speak from that place, like they, for example, and there are different levels of discipline. Like we were talking about, everybody can get to a point where they're at a shelter or homeless or whatever. But us being where we are, we can look at a homeless person and say, you know what? Hey, if you just do this, this, and this, you can be in an apartment in 30 days. You can have a job. You can go to McDonald's and apply. But a lot of people, they're like, I don't understand. So there are certain levels of discipline. Just like millionaires and billionaires will look down at people and be like, how are y'all not here?
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense to them. It's like, why don't you just do this, start your business, do it, and be here? So that discipline has levels to it, man. Like it has more levels of resistance to it. Like right now, we're all healthy enough to still be alive, but at the same time, we could go harder and all be chiseled up if we wanted to.
Trying.
Levels of discipline, man.
I'm trying.
We don't try, we do.
We do, but it takes a long time, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's that compound interest. And I wanted to, Travis, what were you saying about when he was talking about the homeless example?
Oh man, I was saying, every time I see a homeless person holding a sign, I'm like, you realize there's somebody that would pay you for that, right?
Oh yeah.
You realize there was somebody who would pay. There's somebody right down the street holding a sign in front of a business. You know, and you see the signs. Some of them don't even spin; they just do this.
They got headphones in.
We're in an outfit. You know, especially around tax time.
That's right.
You know, I'm like,
dude, same thing you doing.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
You'd have to pay taxes on that, though. You got to pay taxes on that. So
exactly. But there's enough under the table jobs to even get you where you need to go. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I've understood through my job that there are places where one of the other program managers was saying that she gives food to homeless people on the weekends and stuff, like on her days off. And she said that there's tiny home communities where homeless people can live, but some people like they can get a job, but they can't pay enough to like for rent or for housing and water and all that kind of stuff. So like there's even in between where, you know, you can work and you're able-bodied, but you can't, just the way the economy is set up, you can't get ahead. You know what I'm saying? And like you're saying, people are 1-2 paychecks away from being right there anyway. But then there's the guy who's been homeless for years, you know, messed up fingernails, hair all crazy. You know, that's all they know is to beg. But they definitely don't have access to the technology to be like, you could do this. You could hand them a bunch of paper. And it was like, how did you even find? They're not worried about AI. They're worried about where they can wash their clothes or get their dog something and stuff like that. So there's definitely that level. I see what you're saying when you say there's levels of discipline, because what gets you to where you are now will not necessarily get you to the next step. Like we're in your exit strategies where we're trying to get to like that personal freedom, like you talk about, and like how do we use YouTube to be able to get to you know, our individual goals, our partnered goals, and all that stuff. But like some people are on the level of, I don't even know what to make a channel about. I don't even know if I'm willing to be in front of the camera, which took me a minute to get into.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Like, yeah, I had other projects they didn't want to be on camera, but then Travis was like, "Nah, man, if for what our message is, it's got to have a face.
Yeah,
And it's better to have more than one." So I'm like, "All right." So they have to get through the personal struggle of like, do I even want to do this thing and the work that it takes to get to that point? But like, once you get that ball rolling, once you get that compound interest, like, it's the best example is if you're in a 6-foot pool and you have a couple of rocks under you, it doesn't seem as dangerous because you have the confidence in what you're standing on, but it takes time to build what you're standing on. Does that make sense?
Man, it makes sense. But and like that example you used, man, was perfect, and it applies to everything. Like if somebody is saying, "Hey, I want to get on this digital space, but I don't want to get on camera," and then you got some people that are, just different levels of that. It applies to everything, man. Like whatever. Like going back to the same scenario, if somebody's saying, "I don't want to get on camera," all they really have to do is become something different. Like for example, a guy I had a call with earlier this morning. He has. Well, I think I subscribed to his channel. He just came to Exit Strategies. It was his first week, and I was his 11th subscriber this morning. And his content, man, he was speaking from a certain place. I said, you know what? I said, you're speaking to 10 people in your content. You're speaking to 10 people. Your content is based on 10 people. I said, you need to start speaking to 1,000 people. And man, the light bulb went in his head. He said, he understood that. I said, would your content be the same? He's like, nope, my content is different. If I'm speaking to 1,000, if I'm speaking to 20,000, it's different. I'm editing different. I said, you got to do that now, man. And it just made sense to him. So going back to anybody in any situation, if we want to put ourselves in a situation where we say, you know what, we want to be more financially well off. All we have to do is say, you know what, let me close my eyes for 5 seconds, think how they think, become who they are. And regardless of what I see, move in that. And I know the world has to respond to me. It has no choice. It's like, man, as simple as it is, it's hard because once we open those eyes and say, okay, I know exactly what I got to do. Every single part of our world is saying, nope, that's not who you are.
Right.
The woman that may be in your life, sometimes it might be your kids, your co-workers, hell, just the television, the shows that you normally watch. The music you listen to every day, he's saying, no, you're not that. You Trap Boy Freddy. You're not Millionaire Ron. You're Trap Boy Freddy. Come back over here. So it's like, man, we got to tune this stuff out.
I said, you're oppressed.
Yeah.
You can't get up. You can't do what you want to do.
That's why I believe a lot of people who go to prison come out and just, like I was listening to Wallow the other day. You can look at Wallow. You can look at
who's that?
What's the man? The big guy with tattoos on his head, Lamborghinis and stuff. I can't think of his name right now. God dang it! I talk about him all the time. Who?
Real quick, who's Wallow?
Wes Watson. But Wallow sold $1 million worth of game.
Oh, okay.
Like Wallow came out, and they said, "How long did it take for you to get to so and so?" And Wallow said, "Well, I'm out now. I've been out now for 6 years, 8 years, whatever it is." He said, "I'm worth this many millions." Well, he was saying he was making a couple $100,000 within a short amount of time. And he was talking about the earlier days before anybody really knew who Wallow was. He was like, man, I was inspired, bro. I was listening just yesterday when I was grocery shopping, the interview with him and the lady from, she does a podcast with David, whatever his name is, the female. I can't think of her name. I'm going to send y'all a link to it, but
okay.
I listened to that interview with Wallow while grocery shopping, changed my life. Because I heard him talking about that grind, and a lot of people that come out of prison, they can see it. They can see our opportunity and how we're not taking advantage of it. Wallow was like, man, I'm up at 3:00 every day going live. Like I'm doing it. I'm making video. I'm doing this. I'm running down the street. Like, why is everybody not doing this?
Yeah.
It's because we've been so conditioned. Like, this is just life. We don't see the opportunity, man. So when I heard him say that, bro, I went home that same day, which was yesterday, and made 2 YouTube videos. I ain't did that in probably 3 years.
Right.
I said, man, I gotta start waking up and saying, see where I'm slacking. See where I'm slacking, man. And bro, that inspired me.
That's a different wilderness.
These like Wes Watson came out, and I think Wes said like a year and a half, he was making like $12K a month, and then went to like $150K a month in like 2 years. Now Wes is doing like 2 or 3 million a month.
Wow.
And just got out of prison like a handful of years ago. It's like, how?
He might be going back though. Just
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Just say that's a whole different thing. He got into a situation, but we're not. But that doesn't you know that doesn't disregard the fact of what you said. You know, the fact that he had that grind, he was hungry.
Yeah.
And man, this I'm loving this, bro. I'm loving this. All right, so we're gonna take a quick 1-2 minute break, real quick, and then we're gonna hop into talking about one thing that most of the guys are probably honored for: relationships. So we'll be back in 2 minutes, guys.
Sweet.
Hey guys, quick interruption to the episode. Let me tell you about the 8 Inner Gates, our personal growth and self-mastery course that's been showing men just like you how to get unstuck and take their life, relationships, career, or even business to the next level. The same principles that have helped us to find purpose, overcome depression, command respect, dominate in our careers, and become honorable men, we're now sharing with our brothers. So if you want more of this life, you know you're capable of achieving more of this life, and you're tired of just drifting through it, click down in the description of the episode or in the pinned comment and gain access to the first 2 lessons in the course, completely free on us. Click now and begin unlocking the gates blocking your success. And we are back. All right, guys. So one of men's probably biggest stumbling blocks in this life is relationships. I was going to say women, but I'm just going to say relationships. This is whether good or bad. A lot of times we can find ourselves in some challenging situations, especially for guys who are either haven't found their purpose yet and are deciding to dive into the world of, dating and women, and, you can get lost into, especially, on Instagram and different things like that. You should have, you should be dating openly and be dating 10 women at the same time and doing this and doing that. And well, when do you have time to find your purpose? When do you have time to really tap into that?
Right.
Women can be a huge distraction, but they can also be, as a brother Soul says, something that magnifies your life. If you choose the right way, that women can definitely magnify your life. So we had a conversation in our group, the Legion, talking about men on purpose and dating. And one thing I was saying was that if you haven't found your purpose, if you don't know who you are and you haven't found your purpose, the last thing you should have on your damn phone is a dating app. The last thing. Even when you just start getting onto your purpose, probably the last thing you should do. We actually talked about a guy that Edmund had been talking to, who was deciding, he's like, okay, I'm gonna change my life. I'm gonna make some major changes in my life and do this thing to get me to where I want to go. And then he threw that wrench in there, was like, but then I met this woman and now I'm trying to date her, but my life is completely going in a completely different direction and she's really not cool with it. And there's some issues that are coming from it. Mm-hmm. What would your advice be to a guy who wants to find or get into his purpose, but maybe finds that struggle with, I really want the women thing, I want to date, I want to find the one, or whatever it may be? What would your advice be to that guy who maybe is trying to do both things at once? Would you say that's a terrible idea for him to do, or is there a way that he can do that actually would benefit him?
I'll say this, man, because you hit on a lot of nuggets, man. If purpose isn't priority and you're still looking for women, because even when I look back in time, I understood I wasn't tied to my purpose, but I thought it was something that would come in time. I said, at some point I'm gonna plug in and I'm gonna rock it out. I said, in the meantime, until I understand what that is, let me entertain and try to find a wifey and all this stuff. Yeah. It was pushing me further and further away, man. And another thing you said is like I'll say this. Every time I was getting ready to go to another level in life, right before that, a woman would always come in the scene. Every single time. But I guess, and I'll say it was because that light was shining so bright. I'm so, vibing high. Like I'm more attractive. And every time I try to bring a woman in and then take her on there with me, it never worked. Like I believe that if you're single and you're getting ready to level up, that woman you desire is on the other side. Like I believe she's always on the other side. But I will say this: when it comes to a man on his purpose, tied to his purpose, and it's coming down to a woman, even when a man is in position to where he's saying, okay, you know what? I'm tied to my purpose. It's everything in me. I'm trucking along. I think even when he desires and needs that helpmate, I think that even then he can't pause and turn around and look for her. Because you gotta understand, like when you, and I've learned this the hard way. When you vibe and high and you say, you know what, I need somebody to fit this role. Yeah. When you turn around and look, everybody's playing the part. Every woman is like, I'm her. Yeah. But when you're steadily looking forward, only the woman that fits that bill will make it in your world. Like the other ones, they won't even make it. And the thing is, you'll never really give her that energy. The right woman will almost force herself in your world and make herself an asset. And I didn't understand that until late, man. Really understanding it now, to be honest. So I don't think a man, like even a man is tied to this, or any man. Like when they say that a man should be pursuing women and all this stuff, man, I don't care what nobody says. That is the absolute wrong answer. Because for a man to stop and pursue a woman, he has to completely get off the gas. And when you get off the gas, man, you turn around. Like I say, everybody fits the bill. So I believe, and I'll say this, I'll say it like this, to go on deeper down that same road. I believe that a man that's tied to his purpose, that wants the right woman to come in his life, he has to be 100% in a state where he's saying, if I never find her, I'm good. Because the moment you get to that 1 degree of, man, I really need, I need this soft body, I need this, man, you're opening the door, man, for all kinds of wrong things. And I'll say it like this: when a man goes to a place where he needs that woman, it's like your guard is let down. When you're focused, you're not letting anybody in that space. When you get to that needy spot and you really want to feel it bad, it's like I'm telling you, man, when you come off the gas, everybody is saying they're the perfect person. Or you have that 1 degree of needing a woman that the wrong woman will come in. And it may take a little longer for you to see her. She might be well seasoned. But if you you know what I'm saying? Y'all know I done ran into one that, god dang, even looking back, I still can't see. You know what I'm saying? It's like I done seen some chameleons, man. Some chameleons. I still got a plot. Like, I don't know how you did it. But man, I think when a man gets to a point where he's like, I'll be honest, man, and I'll speak to myself personally, man. Now that I'm in a space where it's like I don't even desire a woman. Like me being in that space, it eliminated 98% of the women that I even had contact with. 98% of the women that were in my phone, that were in my DMs, gone. Gone. Because I was like, man, I don't need a woman. I don't desire. I'm good. Only a woman is saying, I see your purpose. I want to be in your life. Can withstand that. Yeah. Can withstand me saying, hey, you know what? I'm not calling back. I ain't calling you back. I ain't texting you back. I'm busy all day. Most women gonna say, no, you know what? I'm gonna fall off. But real ones gonna be like, no, I'm gonna sit right here. I'm gonna send you some coffee during the day. I'm gonna make sure you're good. And when you get back with me, I'm gonna be right here. Because I understand you're Santiago. Yeah. I understand what you're going through. And if you never gotta get off the gas and a woman can fit in those peripherals, brother, I think she's worth at least vetting and checking out at that point in time, man. But the rest of them, I done learned the hard way. I done forfeited a whole year of my life over trying to make something work that if I would have known what I know now, I would have came out of it different, man. But
so question for you, and selfish moment. I think I hit you up with this question under one of your videos, because one thing is when I hear you talk about, I understand what you mean by a guy should move as if, like, if I never find her and everything like that, it's like that I'll life will keep trucking. I'll stay in my purpose. I'll keep going. What about my biggest, I don't want to say conflict with that, but the thing I have an issue integrating that in me is, what about the younger guys who like don't have a family yet? Like, for instance, like because a lot of times when I hear guys say that, they're usually guys who have, been married, have kids, these different things like that. So they've lived life, they've had that, they've made that. So it's almost to the point where like, now when I move, if I never find, that woman to, come in and do these things, like, hey, it's cool. But you've also had your fun, you got married, you had family, you have kids, different things like that. You have that. What about for those guys who, for instance, like me, Edmund's married with it, and has his first boy, bam, bam, getting at it. Me, I'm not married, don't have any kids. So when I think about it that way, I've finally reached the point where it's like, okay, through all my dating and everything like that, I really didn't have like a purpose for the women that I was dating. I saw like, okay, dating, marriage, but it was, these are the things that you do. But I couldn't speak to, this is why I want to do this thing. Now I'm to the point where like, okay, I understand why now, doing what I do, what a wife, what purpose they would serve, why I want to have kids, what the purpose of these things are, not just to do them, but what the purpose of them are. So when I hear guys say, move as if, when you're on purpose, move as if, even if you never find her, that you're cool with that. There's a big piece of me that bumps up against that said, if I never had legacy behind me, I would regret my life. It's like, so while I agree that a guy should be on his purpose to the point where like his focus is so on that most women can't get in there. When I hear somebody say that, move as if you never had that it not to say that it doesn't matter, but you will be okay. How can you kind of hold those two things in your mind at the same time, to where it's like you want to be on the purpose, but it's also really important for you to have the family and the legacy. So that's a big piece of you. How can a guy kind of balance that out?
I will say this though, you are very right. It's easier said than done. When I can look up and say, man, I've been married before and I got a son, and it's way easier. But it all boils down to the same principle. Like it all boils down to like hierarchy. Like when you go back to hierarchy, man, like hierarchy is not just a way I believe we should govern ourselves. Sticking to the hierarchy will answer all things. And this is what I mean. Like, and of course, this was fresh out of when I was divorced, of course. So even then, at 31 years old, I'd already been married and I already had a little son. But when I align myself with the hierarchy, like when a man aligns himself like that, everything falls into order. Like in other words, when God is first, purpose is first, self and everything else, everything aligns. And what I mean is, even when I came out of my marriage several years ago and I already had a son, like, bro, I was unattractive to women. I couldn't get any women. So regardless of what I had obtained, a son and all that stuff, I was still in a state where it's like, bro, women ain't checking for me. I can't ever find a right woman or all that stuff. But once I aligned to the hierarchy, and even back then I wasn't calling it that, I reverted back to the hierarchy out of anger. Like when women were, when I saw women, I was like, man, women are this way, and man, I don't like this. Out of anger, I went back to God first, purpose first. And when I did that, the same women, man, that were giving me the Heisman a month earlier, all of a sudden, energetically, I hadn't changed my shape, my money hadn't changed. Now these same women are in my DMs. And bro, it took me about 2 years to speak to that. It ain't like it was just one person, man. You talking about 3 or 4, maybe 5 women I'm DMing, and they like, nah, this ain't what it is. And now these same women are knocking on doors and, hey, what we're going to do this weekend? I'm like, what changed? And what changed was my energy. My energy went from, I got to have a woman. I'm craving somebody. My energy went from, screw y'all. Not really screw y'all, but now y'all are where y'all need to be on the hierarchy. Now I'm plugging in the source. I'm plugging into my mission, and everything else up under that aligned. So going back to your question, the man that can look at a man that has kids, has been married, and say, you know what, it's easier said than done. I would say, man, once you align with the hierarchy, you won't have a problem. Like your bigger problem will be telling women no. You know what I'm saying? So that hierarchy will answer the question, man.
That's literally one of the most impactful things that I had heard you say throughout my time in the power circle, even before Warriors Way Home and all that, because it made the most sense. And even when I was at my, I would say, quote unquote, most successful at the time, coming out of dropping out of school, losing 2 jobs, and then getting back into school, like I had to find my purpose because I had to make sure that the time and money that I was in school for wasn't wasted. And I still didn't find the major that I wanted and ended up graduating out of for like 2 years into that process. So even when and that's one thing that I think that isn't spoken about enough, like when you say you want to go find your purpose, it's not a 30-minute conversation. It's not, I'm just going to sit over and think on this for a day. Like sometimes it will take days, months, weeks, years, whatever.
You mean I don't just take a weekend course?
No, you know what I'm saying? And it gets pumped out there so much. You know what I'm saying? Like the 30, 60, 90 day type of programs, though. It might take you going through that same thing once or twice before you actually get it, or before you can start to apply those things into your life. And I think that's why some people kind of get so caught up in like the seeking knowledge instead of applying it. You know what I mean? Because when you had said that to me, or you said it to the group, and I took it back, and I was like, there is no other way to work, because you do have to put your faith in a higher power that everything that you're going to be doing is going to work out. You have to trust the purpose that you say you're putting your life on, and you got to maintain yourself for that purpose that you said God put you on. You don't have time for nothing else half the time. You don't have time for I'll just call it gallivant. You don't have time for that. But you had when you had said that, I had met my wife. Well, I'm thinking back to the time where I was able to apply it before I knew what it was. And there was 2 times. The first time was actually through my dad, because my dad had he had a tennis association that he taught as like a nonprofit type of thing, and was helping folks in the community. And he would bring me in to see what it's like to help other people that you knew they couldn't give back to you type situation, and like what that meant. And then I remember certain people in my family being like, why does he go out and do all this stuff, but then you don't get to see him as much? And it's like, well, he's not out here chasing women and just kind of not being my dad. I can literally tell you what he's out there doing. He's out there helping the community and helping kids go to college and teaching them to not be in the streets and all this stuff. And like in that hierarchy, of course I'm fourth, because he can't take care of me if he's not taking care of his mission, which means he has to take care of himself. So like, so you as a child, even if you can't never speak to that, if I could never put words to it, it's just the fact that I saw that, it made it okay. So then I have to understand that it's like I have to do the same thing for my kid. You know what I mean?
That's huge.
Yeah. And then
that's huge the way you broke that down, man, because I thought the opposite for years. And to hear you speak to that directly on how you saw your pops moving, even though he wasn't right there in your face, how he was moving a certain way and impacted you, man, that's crazy. I don't think we speak on that enough. Yeah. Because I didn't know that until recently in life. Like, hey, you know what? It ain't about that FaceTime. It's about what I'm doing.
Right. Like, and like to Travis's point, when you say I'm working on my purpose so hard that I'd be okay with not being around women, or they become a distraction at that point. Like I told Travis, like me and my wife, we were dating for a couple of years, and while I was in school, but we lived in 2 different cities. So that's an hour drive back and forth, and I would only see her like really on the weekends. So like I'm spending a couple days here, but when I come back during the week, I got to be about school. I can't be trying to make trips in between work and school, and I worked on campus, so like I'm literally either in school or I'm with you. So if she would have left at some point anywhere throughout that, like I think probably most women would have been like, nah, after a couple of months. She rocked with me for a couple of years that way. Dang. So like I'd have understood if she was like, nah, unicorn. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like I have to keep bringing that up as the example, because that exists. Yeah. You know what I mean? That it definitely exists, but it's harder. My bad. No, go ahead. It can only exist though when you exist in it. Like it always exists, but some men will never see that. Right. They'll never see it. They'll never know it exists, but it won't exist because they aren't that. You got to move a certain way to attract that kind of. Just like some men, let's say men that move high vibrational. When you talk about women that move like in a sour way, or like women that move low vibrational, some men, that's foreign to some men. Like some men, and this is rare,
Or you can grow up in a household that's so wholesome, and mom and dad will vibrate so high, and they sent you to the Ivy League school, and everybody else is vibrating like that. They look at that stuff on World Star Hip Hop, and it's not even real to them. It's like nobody's doing that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Well, the
guys get turned out. Guys get turned out.
The Fresh Prince treatment.
Guys get turned out like
everything
that.
Is cool.
Carlton.
Like, yeah. For real. But I was also thinking about
nose
Will.
wide open.
Yeah, exactly, man.
But if you want to be, you don't even have to be the Carlton in that scenario. You could be the Will in that scenario, where you were in a rougher area. Now you're moved back, or you're able to move up, but you know you don't fit in. So then it becomes harder to like stay in it. But then you got people who are in that Carlton, that mindset or energy, where they're looking at you like, you don't belong here. Like, we know you don't belong here. But you have to make it work until they accept you, and then they become like your best friends and all that stuff. But yeah, man, like unless if you've never seen that, you're talking pig Latin. You don't know.
Facts.
Yeah.
Not even reality, man.
So it's how would I put this? Okay. So I guess my issue has been funny. I've seen both sides of it. You know, I've been the guy that really wasn't on purpose. It was doing, you know, excelling it in the field and what I was doing as a personal trainer and everything. But I can't say I was locked in. I can't say I was focused on like purpose and growing and what my next step was. It got to the point where I was just showing up. I was showing up and doing the thing, but I was good at it. So I didn't have to really put a lot of effort behind it, and ended up, you know, we talked about this, you know, got into 2 relationships back to back, and they both failed. And it was one of those things that, and until I talked to a cousin of mine, it was one of those things where I was talking to her, I was venting, I was like, I don't know what the hell is going on. You know, I'm doing this thing. I'm a trainer. I'm in shape, you know, you know, I don't know what's wrong with these chicks. And I was like, and she was like, oh, they don't see a future with you. And I was like, what? She's like, oh yeah, you know, you don't. She's like, she started asking me questions like, you know, where are you going? What do you want to do? I was like, oh, I'm gonna be wealthy. How? Okay, what are you gonna do? What's your next step? What are you gonna do? You're a trainer now. What's the next thing? And I didn't have any answers for it. And I was like, and when she hit me with so what ended up happening was she didn't see a future with you. So she moved on to go find one. I was like, fuck.
That's real. That's a real thing, man.
It was a nut check, man. It was a nut check. So I went from that to, I think 6 months to a year later, went to the other extreme where I was so locked in that nothing else in my life mattered. You know, only working, started a boot camp gym, was there all the time, to the point where clients started complaining. They were like, we need to get you a girlfriend. They're like, we need to get you a girlfriend. You're always here. We need to get you a girlfriend, because you know you start talking to clients and you become friends with them, and they're like, what do you do other than this? I was like, sleep and eat. And I come, I go home, I eat, I sleep, I come back here and I work. That's it. They're like, we need a girlfriend. I was like, you just don't want me focusing all my attention on you guys. That's all that is. You're just trying to get over. But the thing was, I would tell them, I was like, I don't have time for a woman. I said, this is my wife. I was like, you know, this is my thing. This is what I'm driving to do. I was so lit up about what I was doing that I felt like anything else that would be a distraction to me was just so quick. If you called me and I was at work and you started talking to me about something and I didn't see a point to it, I was like, hey man, I gotta go.
You gotta be, man.
You know, I gotta go, bro. It's like, is this something that we can talk about? Can you text me this? So I can read it later. But I got so locked in that fast forward a few years passed, and I realized that I was so locked in that I put all of that on the back burner, the relationship, the family that I really want and everything like that. I didn't pay any attention to it at all, that I was so locked in that I ignored all this rest of this big, important piece of me. And so now it was funny. Me and you had this conversation. I was at an event for a fashion show, and I was sitting there and, you know, watching this fashion show, and this woman sitting maybe one chair, you know, there's one chair between me and this woman. And, you know, watching this fashion show, they take a break and I get up and I go to the bathroom and I come back and she's sitting in the chair right next to me. And I had like my hat on my seat. So she's sitting in the chair right next to me. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Fashion show goes on, and saw something funny. So I'm joking with her and just talking to her like I talk to anybody. Talking to her. we start chatting back and forth, and night progresses, and we're joking, having a good time. And I go outside to go do something, and I'm staying out there. And probably 20 minutes later, I see her come up. It's like, you just gonna leave me there? And this whole scenario unfolded, and I was talking to you about it. And at the end, I was like, yeah, you know, okay, it was good meeting you. What's your name? Da 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 da. My name's Travis. Okay, cool. Bye. And I walked off. I walked off. And I got to the car, and I started up the car, and I was like,
what in the hell?
I think she was waiting for me to ask for her phone number.
Yeah, for sure.
But bro, it was so funny because it's like I've been so locked in for so many years now that it's like that completely didn't register in my mind. And so afterwards I was like, oh wait.
Drop the ball on that one.
And I think I called you, but I was like, bro, I was like, I think I'm rusty. I was like, I think I got a little rusty. I think I've been locked in a little too long. I think I need to come out of the basement.
I remember that. I was like, what? She gave you the choosing signal of choosing.
Dude, man. I mean, so many. She might as well have been sitting there with, like, you know, those cones they use at the airport, like, hey.
Yeah, she gave you every sign she could, man. She probably still thinking like, God, he must
completely over. She's like, I think he might be, you know, special. I think he might be special needs or something like that. Or maybe he's blind.
Home that night, like, am I ugly? Like,
definitely put you in a position to, hey, you know.
She probably got in the car like, I guess he's gay. Oh well.
Yeah, she was like, he's killing me for some reason.
It was like, I've had these blinders on for so long that it was like, you know, it didn't register with me until like I said, me and you were talking. You're like, bro.
Like the first time Father came back and the seat was closed, I've been like, I was starting some kind of conversation joking on that. She said she gave you a round too.
Bro, it was just so funny, man. So it's like you said, you know, being locked in to, you know, to your purpose, it can be you know, just be aware. It's like when you really lock in, bro, you can you might lose friends. You know, some relationships are gonna be much harder when you're locked in your purpose, because you're not gonna have a bunch of time to bullshit. You know, when your boys call you to go out to the bar, go to the club, you know, I went to the club and I was like, this shit isn't even fun anymore. I want to go back and work.
Like, I'm not getting ahead by doing this.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Like this isn't gonna be where I want to be.
Yeah. but like going back to the sister that was in the chair and all that stuff, like at the same time when you plugged in, it's such an abundant energy. And it might sound kind of funny, but there are gonna be 100 of her that you're gonna cross paths with in the next 100 days. It's like once you plug into that energy, to look at her and say, God dang, I dropped the ball. That should last for like 5 minutes. And then you get back on it saying, you know what? I understand that just because I'm moving like this, there's going to be one of her coming on the regular base. They're never going to stop coming because so few brothers move like that. Like, and I'm going to tell you, that stuff, a lot of that, not 100%, but a lot of that moving like a certain energy, it bypasses a lot of stuff. Like you might not have the fastest card, 6 foot, whatever, and all these other attributes that, of course, women are drawn to. The fact that you move in a certain, you know, element of mindset is going to eliminate you from an easy 90% of the guys she interacts with.
For sure.
You know, and really, when you get down to the bottom of it, man, that's really what she's wanting. That light that's on the inside of you, that's really what she's wanting. It's just that a lot of women think they have to go through the Lamborghini and the da to get there, because they think that a man that possesses these attributes, cribs or whatever it is, they think that by default he has that light. But in today's world, it's a lot of facade.
It might be a rental.
And to be honest, that's why us as men do it. Like, to be honest, that's why us as men get the shiny belts in the certain kind of cars, because it's like, if I got this, I can portray being something else, and not saying you don't have it, because if you do have it, then you do have these attributes. But I mean, these material things. But a lot of guys have those material things in order to portray light.
Right.
That's all they're portraying. Shiny belts are nothing but saying, "Hey, I got light." So when a woman gets over there and she might enjoy a few weekends or a few dates, she was like, "You know what? You're a perpetrator. You don't have that thing I thought you had. So now I'm back in her hypergamy mode."
Right.
That itch isn't scratched yet. It's a real thing, man. It's the realest of things, bro.
Yeah, so when I think back on it, that moment kind of proved your point with the whole, because I wasn't looking for anything. I'm there. I was actually there for some work stuff. I'm sitting there just minding my own business, and like I said, I wasn't looking for. It's like, oh, honestly, I was probably more interested in some of the models than I was her. to be real about it.
To be honest, man, they could have been a beautiful relationship, man. Because the best relationships are the ones where it's just like either you crossing, passing, or you see their picture out of nowhere, and it's like, boom, let me jump in this DM. Like the one that you've been looking at for 3 or 4 months, that probably ain't gonna be what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Y'all had all this interaction, but the one that sit by you in the chair last minute, and you like, dang, what's going on? Or the one when you scrolling on IG and it's like, man, who is this? Let me jump in. Like that last minute, let me jump in because something was, man, that's gonna be it's gonna be something, man.
Yeah, so
you're gonna pass 100 of her in the next 100 days. I promise, man. I mean,
that should be interesting. Well, we'll definitely be talking about that.
Yeah. I'm looking
guys,
forward.
just so we're clear, just so you know, just because you're on purpose and locked in doesn't necessarily mean that you have to miss out on the rest of your life.
True.
Right.
Do what you need to do now to become the man who can do all the things that you want to do in the future. It's like while the guys are, plenty of guys have talked about it. Jeff Bezos was, in a garage. Microsoft, they were in a garage while other people were out partying, having a good time, going on trips, doing these different things, because this is gonna happen. I missed out on a lot of shit being locked in, being in the gym smelling fumes while I was painting at 2:00 in the morning.
Man.
It's like, well, other dudes were out and this was ladies' night. I'm in my 20s. I'm in shape. Everything, like I could have had a blast.
Ladies' night,
but I'm sitting there, at 10:00 at night painting a fucking wall in a gym. While other guys are, doing the bump at the club, getting the booty.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, but there's a payoff in the end because I know that once I reach where I'm going, that I'm gonna be able to do things that these guys can't even dream of. I'm gonna be able to live the life you do now, what others won't do, so that you can live the life that others can't live. That's a
real quote right there, man.
Yeah.
That's a real quote, bro. Like just that little bit of suffering, man, gonna separate you from the pack.
Mm-hmm.
And it might take some time where you gotta subdue yourself, man. You ain't out wilding out and balling and da. It's like, just give me 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, y'all gonna be like, how did he get there?
Mm-hmm.
How did he get there? It's like, man, I subdued myself and low crawl to that sunbuck, man.
So
y'all didn't see me, I was low crawling. It was hard, brother, but I sacrificed every time, man. You gonna get there, bro.
Yeah.
People won't understand. They won't even understand, man. That work, bro. That work.
Well, for men, there's a statistic that men don't even really hit their value until their 30s and 40s because they had to have that time to build up their resources, their physical health. And this is if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is if you're like really trying to take care of yourself and understanding that, in your 20s and your teens and all that, like, yeah, it's cool to party or whatever. But ultimately, if you can get, especially in the time we're in now, the way technology is in the 21st century, if you can just lock in your 20s, you hit the age of 20 and then you start locking in for about 15 years or so. And I know it kind of sounds like, oh, well, if I just getting a job for 15 years and no, this is just if you know who you are and start to work towards whatever your life needs to look like in your 30s and 40s, then you still got the way people are living now. You still got another 30, 40 years to live it out, more than that, maybe.
Yeah.
Especially if you're taking care of yourself. So like the fact that you're seeing what you're seeing now should just be a signal to be like, all right, this the IG models, the YouTube, the whatever is my distraction. If I can just leave this alone for a little bit, then I can move toward. That's why I'm like at 33. Everybody was like, "Oh, your knees going." Well, my knees do hurt, but things are gonna start hurting. But
hey, thanks, Jay.
Right. Everybody's like, my body starts breaking down and all that stuff, and I like that pissed me off. I'm like, no, I want to live to 100. I want to live as long as I can.
Man,
But 30s just means that I'm still like just being now able to apply all the stuff that I learned for the past 30 years. And that people look at you like, well, why you want to live that long? Because I want to see what else I can do. I want to see where I can go. I want to see what kind of family I can have.
Man,
and especially because I had no idea what I wanted to do with life, even when I was getting married and had a good job and had just got out of school. It was that typical do this, knock off those things in your boxes and you're good. But it took me long enough to even just start to do that. You know what I'm saying? It took me a while to even just understand that that was an option for me because of how I grew up in the things that I had saw. So for somebody else who I know half of America at least is going through the same thing. So if you can just lock in for the next 10 years, you can have whatever you want. And it don't even take 10 years the way the tech is going. But I would say the thing that first and foremost, as you both were talking, that I thought of is that my mom had asked me, I think it was the last time I went home for like Christmas or something. And we was riding by ourselves and she was asking me questions about like how I felt about marriage and all that other kind of stuff. And I was like, the one thing that I understood about marriage is that it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's 1 + 1 = 3. Because if you can manage to become a whole person by yourself, you get linked up. Like, and by a whole person, I mean that you're able to just understand that one, you'll never be perfect. You need to have some type of purpose. You need to have some type of belief in self. And you need to be able to move in that helps you negate all the distractions in life and understand that the things that are broken in you, because nobody's really broken. It's just that you aren't able to integrate all the aspects of yourself in a day-to-day basis. But if you can do that, and then you can find one other person that is also trying to be a whole human being, the outcome is way more than if it's just, well, I got me and my trauma and my baggage, and you got you and your trauma and your baggage, and now we just together with all of our trauma and our baggage. You ain't going nowhere. You can't.
But that equals -3.
Exactly. You can't go anywhere like that. Just trying to make it. So that's why I'm so adamant about not surviving but thriving. Like I was talking to my staff at work, and then somebody was like, "Oh, I'm just here. I'm just making it." And I was like, "No, like you're not just making it. You're thriving. You're doing the work. You're helping people." Da, da, da. And then other person hopped in and it was like, "Did we just jump into an infomercial? Like I don't understand what just happened." And I was like, it hit me in that moment. I'm like, "No, you don't have to just make it.
Facts.
You can do a lot more than what you think you're capable of, but you got to get out of your own way, which is you becoming a whole human being first. And then you try to find other people who are not distracted like that.
Yeah.
And then when y'all come together, you're making more than either one of you would have been separately.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when you say 1 + 1 = 3. But it's like you got to do the hard work, and then you can get all the extra stuff that comes on top of that.
That's real, man.
Man, woo! This conversation has been, oh man,
I love it, man.
This is so needed. We got to do this more often. We gotta do this.
Well, we're doing it now like 4 times a week. I mean, 4 times a month. So I don't know how much more we can do it. We're doing videos every Friday and Sunday. Like
I gotta catch up with y'all, man, because I want to do. I need to start doing at least 1 live a week, man.
Well, we're doing 2 lives a month right now. So
yeah, I gotta catch. I gotta start doing lives, man. That's it's a different vibe, a different audience. Everything's different about it, man.
Well, I mean, you got a lot going on already, man. You got, you got the YouTube channel, you got the Power Circle where we met. I mean, this is Warriors, and I say this every time we're on. Warriors Way Home wouldn't probably exist if we hadn't both gotten into the Power Circle. You know, it wouldn't have been a thing because I wasn't looking at actually. It's probably been like a year, 2 years down the line that I would even thought about doing anything with quote unquote Warriors Way Home, and then got in the Power Circle. I think that first 1 or 2 calls, something like that. Edmund's like, "Hey, you're in Colorado. I'm in Colorado." Da 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 da. Boom. Started, linked up. Started talking. Collected people. I am a collectible. Very valuable. No, we linked up, started talking, and everything like that. And it just started rolling from there, man. It's like getting it. So that power, that group, that community is super important, especially for guys. With what we're talking about, man, whether you choose to get into the Legion, our group, or the Power Circle, bro, get around a good, solid group of guys as a man who are doing not just where you're at, but doing above where you're at to show you what's possible. Because before we got in the group, we weren't thinking about doing this, and then we got into exit strategy. We weren't thinking about doing some of the things that we're doing now. You got to have people that that can level you, who can show you that there's another level to this game.
Yeah, it is, man. It's like freedom. Whether you're looking at Power Circle and that mental freedom to see what's really going on, or that freedom like an exit strategy, that freedom to say, you know what, let me take what's inside of me and give it to the world man, freedom is, man, it's closer than most people have any idea, bro. It's right there, man. It just comes down to a decision. And that's what's keeping everybody away, whether it's mentally, whether it's how to find career freedom. It's a decision, man. And like once a person makes that decision, it's like it's done. But I'm gonna say this, and I say this a lot. I understand now that decision is easy, but the reason why most people don't make it is because of that life is comfortable. Like I say, when I quit my job in 2020, I've been trying to quit my job for the previous 5-6 years. I was like, man, I want to do, but it wasn't until I had to quit my job or I was going to take an L that I said, you know what, let me buckle down. And like I said earlier, become this person that's already quit. And once I became that person, I started operating different, and it opened up new doors, man. And in a spell of 9 months, when I couldn't see no way of doing it, man, in 9 months, I was able to say, hey, you know what, today's my last day. Bro, you can't put a feeling on that. I couldn't but you got to understand, 9 months before I did that, bro, I had no idea how I was going to do it. But I just became it and woke up as that every day and said, you know what, it's got to show itself. Like if this is who I am, that life has to show itself. And in January, it showed itself, man. And by Juneteenth, actually, the same day the slaves were
Freedom
free.
Day.
You know what I'm saying?
Give me free.
I chunked deuces, man.
Oh
They
man.
never look back.
So speaking of freedom, we talked about, you have the power circle, you have exit strategies. How do you help other guys and people find freedom, the freedom that you found? How do you help people find that?
Well, in the as far as like the power circle, man, this is what I didn't know when the power circle started. Guess what? 3 or 4 years ago now, man. It started just as a quick conversation in a chat room or Patreon. And after about 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 conversations, I understood in myself that I was being fed something that I had no idea I even needed to eat. Like a lot of us as men, we roll solo because it's like, no, we're men. We make life happen. I had no idea, man, the power that was associated with other men getting in other rooms with other men talking about life, talking about relationships, talking about how to get it out the mud. Bro, I had no idea, man. So as I was being healed from it, at the same time, I was like, man, let's put something together. Let me share my experiences. Let everybody share their experiences, man. And it just became a mental hospital. It became a place to get game. It became a place to come in for a period. It came in for a place to come in and just kind of put weight off into the circle. Like it's gone through its spells, man. But it's been many things for a lot of men that isn't things that aren't present on the outside of the circle. Like a lot of times, even Brother Edmund has a wife and a child. There are certain things that if he takes to his wife, it's going to start crumbling his relationship. Like, even though a lot of women say, "Oh no, my husband come to me with anything." No, you can't.
No, you can't.
You can't. You can't.
No, you can't.
I know his wife. I wouldn't suggest it.
I would.
Not certain things.
Certain things is like, no, I can't display that. Like I gotta be to have a circle of friends, and it ain't about necessarily a power circle, but even if it's like you and a coworker, like, hey, bro, on Thursday night we gonna chop it up at the wing spot. Like we gotta have that time where we say, hey, man, why did you put me through this? Or, oh man, my job is saying this. Or brother, I'm just stressed out. And exchanging stories, iron sharpening iron. I had no idea how powerful that was. Even now, man, being 3-4 years deep in the power circle, when I get off a power circle call on Sundays, but I'm just like, yeah, like what would I do without that? Like what would I do? I would have to find another group of brothers, man. To me, in my mind, when I think about power circle, I always think about the messenger. I always think about Jesus when he said, hey, you know what? We breaking bread. We fellowshipping. Do this in remembrance of me. In other words, do this in remembrance of that high portion of yourself so you never forget. Because like I say all the time, man, when a man is flying by himself, he thinks he's winning. He's like, no, I have nobody to gauge my success off of, nobody to bounce ideas. I'm winning right now. He might be overweight, he might be broke, but in his world, he's on top. So it's not until you put yourself in a room full of other brothers winning or losing, we're all just raw men in there. You can see everybody who it's like, man, I see now I'm not going hard enough.
Right.
I see Brother Trav and Brother Edmund, they just started a whole channel. Oh, next year they started a whole business. Oh, now they doing XYZ. A brother in the circle can say, you know what? I remember when y'all just met and I'm still in the same spot.
Yeah.
Whereas now he's aware of it, as opposed to him just flying by himself thinking, hey, I'm the best man on the planet. I'm doing everything right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a powerful space, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as that freedom inside of exit strategies, I believe, and I won't say everybody, because everybody is not everybody, but I believe in what the world is doing with this digital space, with social media and all that. Man, I think a lot of people are going to wake up in 10 years, 15 years from now and be like, how did I not? Kind of like right now, we're looking back saying, how do we not get Bitcoin? We could have spent $100 in Bitcoin and be set. I think this digital space is just like that. It's just
I cry every night.
But he felt that one.
Getting closer to 50, 65, and they're going to look back and see all the people that got in this space on their laptop on the beach or whatever, or doing their own thing or living in a different country or whatever. And they're going to say, how did I not jump on that? And I think the barrier of entry is going to change, man. Like, I think a lot of people sleep on it because, like, to start a YouTube channel right now is free. Of course, you got to hit certain milestones to
monetize
and all that stuff. But I believe it's going to come a point in time where YouTube is going to say, you know what? There's a barrier of entry. Like there's you got to subscribe and pay $100 a month now, or you gotta qualify before you can even start a YouTube channel now, because it's so like it's a land grab.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a land grab. It's like, why aren't you buying this land right now? Like, you telling me you can come in here in this space and get land for free and build a house on it for free? Nobody's asking no questions. At some point, that's not going to be like that, and people are going to say, "How did I miss that?"
Mm-hmm.
Because man, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I started my YouTube channel on September the 5th, 2016. I had no idea. No idea it was going to grant me the ability to wake up, man, and not care about anything else in life except let me just share what's on my mind. And I don't research. All I do is share life, bro. That's all I do is wake up and tell stories about what I done went through. Bro, I've won.
Yep.
I'm grateful for that. So now, not saying I'm some expert, I'm no marketing guru, I'm no none of that, bro. But I can tell people exactly what I've done that's given me for 5 years of freedom, 5 years of expansion. So I'm like, if my business can grow for 5 years, I believe I need to start sharing this now. Like I need to start sharing. Like I'm no expert, but I can tell you exactly what I did and show you how I did it.
Exactly.
And I'm telling people the same stories over and over for 2016 for almost 10 years. God dang, it'll be 10 years in a year and a half.
There you go.
It's like, man, all I'm doing is living life, turning around, and sharing my experience. And I'm gonna do it until I die. I'm gonna put it in books. I'm gonna put it in courses. I'm gonna put it in. That's all I'm gonna do, man.
Yeah.
And most people can do that. Anybody that's tapped into themselves, anybody that's lived any kind of experience, or anybody that has any kind of skill set, or anybody that's gone through any kind of trauma, divorce, bad breakup, know how to make resumes, know how to use Excel. It's like, bro, there's not a rock that can't be overturned and somebody eat off of this.
It's like what's that book? Acres of Diamonds, or The Science of Getting Rich, or Think and Grow Rich. Like those type of books where they say it even in the book. Like everybody wants the formula about how to do this thing, but if you ain't got the right mindset to do it, it's not going to render you nothing.
Yep.
And that's something that I think everybody fights with, even with their current job, or if they're looking for a new job. If you don't believe you can make the type of money that you aspire to make, then you're never going to get there, no matter how hard you're working the thing. There's no the right intention is not behind it. And that's when, like when we jumped into the power circle, or at least when I did, that's why I started collecting people like that, is because I understood from college, like the college taught me nothing but networking is the way to go. You know what I'm saying? If you don't do nothing else in your life, talk to people and you will eventually get to where you're trying to get to. You know, like I went from flipping burgers and taking out the trash to being able to work side by side with the director of my program, and then getting a job that I eventually liked, and all this other stuff, and meeting Travis and figuring out what entrepreneurship looks like for me. And then it's that sifting. You got to be willing to sift through as many people as there are on this planet to be like, okay, you can help me with relationship stuff. You can help me with self-defense. You can help me with my money. You can help me with my, whatever that it is. And you only have to find one person. Not for all those things, but you only have to find one person at a time that can help you with networking, even just networking in itself. Like how do I network better? Or, how do I, whatever XYZ, input the thing that you're struggling with right now. There's somebody out there talking about it. There's probably 100 people out there talking about it, but you need to figure out who's the right person for you. And you happen to be the right person for us. And we're trying to be the right people for somebody else, which is, it's just that constant feedback of, okay, if I need to have a mastermind, let me find one. Let me download as much game as I can about this, and then turn around and help somebody else do the same thing with my own mastermind or whatever. And people are making, you're right. It's ridiculous how much money people are making off of just that premise. Like, let me just learn this and then turn around and tell somebody else.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I'm gonna tell you this, man. I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna, because I gotta shut down here in a second, bro.
Yeah, I know we had you on way longer.
I'm gonna say this right here, man.
It's been almost 2 hours.
I'm gonna say this, like in this, like as an adult, I won't say as an adult. Within the last 4 years of my life, I now understand why the messenger said, and when Jesus was asked, "What are the two greatest commandments?" Like for years, I was like, okay, the first one sounds cool. Hey, love God with all your heart. Don't put nothing else above God. In other words, he was saying, seek ye first the kingdom. Like plug into the hierarchy first. Plug into God. Like find that lane first. Before we talk about anything else, find that first. I get that. But when the second one, when he said, love your brother like you love yourself, my whole life, I was mind blown about that. I was like, man, surely you could have came up with something better than that for the second one. I was like, man, I was thinking like, and bro, 3 or 4 years ago, it kicked in. Love your brother like you love yourself. That is the master key. Like, because if like I said, I don't care what you go through in life, all the good, all the bad, all the pain, all of this. Like once you say, okay, first commandment, then the second one, love my brother like I love myself. Now I can look around and say, man, I don't want anybody to be stuck where I was. If I really love my brother, I want to help my brother get out the mud. So when I fire that camera up every day and share this, like my end goal is not to get AdSense revenue or to get a new client. My intent is to help my brother. And a byproduct of that, the bank fills up. As a byproduct of that, my world changes. And it's like, now I get it. When I can look at my brother like I look at myself, my world is going to do something else. Because to be honest, all you're doing is building your own karma. He was like, you know what? This universe is yours. You have the opportunity to build whatever it is you want. Or your brother's in jail. Why aren't you tending to him? Why do you pass the man that's hungry? That's you. That's you you're driving by. So once I understood that, man, I understand now that giving back, man, even if you don't get it on the front end, universally, it's coming back to see you. It has to, because God made it like that. And it's like, man, now I understand why those are the two greatest commandments. And now when I apply them to life is on autopilot now. Not saying still don't hit bottoms and all this kind of stuff, but it's still going to do what it's supposed to do by law.
Right. Yeah.
And even like when times get hard, it's like, okay, but by law, I got to get to where I'm going. Like it's nobody else's choice, because even when times are hard, I'm still going to love my brother like it's me. So I got to get there. Right. And it's like, once I've seen that 3 or 4 times, it's like, bro, fear for what? Like fear for what? Like this is the game, man. Like this is the cheat code. The messenger gave us a cheat code right there. What are the 2 greatest commandments? That's all I need to see in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Love God, love my brother. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? It's a wrap after that, bro. But
so it's a lot of pages for that.
Because now we're talking about that 1% conversation, 1% conversation. Because most people like, and I use the example. Like when you think about a Trayvon Martin and a Zimmerman, you can't put them 2 people together. So, and if your mind, you can't see them as one person, you can't close that gap. That means you still see people on the other side of the world that pray a certain way, that wear a certain way, or shade the skin different, or they political affiliation different, and now they convince you that, oh, they're different, so they're not like me. It's like, wing, that didn't cut you in half, bro.
Right.
I love everybody. Shooting rounds my way and everything. I still love you. I gotta love you. Because now I'm forfeiting my power. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna do that, man. I might be mad for 5 minutes. I'm gonna get over it. And still right back on the throne, man. It's like, yeah, I ain't gonna hate you. Can't convince me to hate you, brother. Even if I don't know why you did what you did. I got some brothers in my life. Brothers been in a circle. Leave and start back. I'm like, what I do? Like, okay, I ain't gonna be mad at you. I see what you did. I see what you went and said. Man, I love you, bro. I love you, and I take ownership of it. And I stay on that throne. Life keeps on lifing, man.
Absolutely,
bro. I was gonna ask you to give us a closing message, but bro, I think you just did it right there. That was it. Wrap it up. Write it down. Send it to yourself. Watch this again.
What did Anthony Mackie say? Like, boom, cut the check.
There you go.
It's been a pleasure, bro. I love when we get to chop, man. I love it, man.
Man, so appreciate this. So appreciate it. Tell people where they can find you, man.
Man, Immortal Midz on everything. I just now started putting content on TikTok, bro. So it's Immortal Midz on TikTok, of course, _Immortal Midz on Instagram, Immortal Midz Conversations with Soul on YouTube. And that's it, man. Once you're going to get on the YouTube videos, website is under construction, immortalminds.com. Once you go to immortalminds.com, and it'll take you to like some temporary page. I might got a few links on there. Website will be up another 5 minutes, which will be immortalminds.com. There you'll be able to see, or you can go on YouTube videos now. Find the Power Circle. Find all of the all of the documentaries, Beautiful Faces, all of that. Power Circle, Exit Strategies. All those are on pretty much every YouTube video, man. And that's where I'm at, brothers.
Nice. Perfect. And we got the links for the Power Circle, Exit Strategies, and Soul's channel down in the description, man. Definitely check out this man's stuff, because I'm telling you, you will not be the same after watching either some of his videos or hopping into some of his courses or the Power Circle. If you stay the same, you were sleeping.
You were too comfortable. You stayed the same, you were too comfortable.
Yeah, man.
And I appreciate y'all, brothers.
Definitely appreciate you, man. And we, like I said, we'll definitely have to do this again soon, for sure. Sure.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, have a good one, man.
All right, you too, man. Well, and we will see you guys soon, man. And remember, at the end of the day, man, when you're on your path to becoming that 1.0 version of yourself, finding the purpose, finding the relationship, focusing on where you're going. When you find yourself in the bottom, always remember one thing, that you'd rather be a warrior in a garden
than a guard in a war. See you guys next time.
Take it easy, guys.
Peace.